Alright YouTube, so we're back, of course, to talk about some Final Fantasy VII Remake. So as you guys are watching this video, it is April 10th, and Remake is officially 2 years old. Holy shit, time is a son of a bitch. I know at times it certainly went slow because of what the world's been going through for the last 2+ years now, but to think that it's already been 2 years. Like, I talked about this game when it first got revealed back in 2015. It's more of a ranty video, kind of complaining because it wasn't my Final Fantasy VII. So I've been talking about this game since back then. But to think that the game's already been out for 2 years, been talking about it like every other day at this point for 2 years, it's kind of terrifying. Like, where did the time go? I actually decided to pull up some older gameplay too. This is gameplay from like April something of 2020 on my old laptop. I dug that bitch out and fired it up just to kind of set the mood. This is early David, not knowing what the hell he's doing. But as I'm recording this, it is April 9th. It's still Saturday. I'm recording this ahead of time because we're doing our Easter shit tomorrow, family stuff tomorrow. But what's important is that it's April 10th currently in Japan, and it's still early. It's like 9, 10 a.m. or something as I'm recording. So I don't know if they're going to do anything or show anything or reveal anything. I have no idea what's happening. As of right now, there's not been anything. I don't know if they have any plans to do anything to commemorate the 2-year anniversary. I can't imagine they would let it pass without acknowledging it. It might just be a simple tweet or a picture or something, or some words from Katase or Nomura. It could be as simple as that, but it could also be something else. Who knows? I'm sure by the time this video goes live, we'll have an answer for that, and you guys can let me know in the comments, because I'll be busy tomorrow. As for what we're doing with this video, I just kind of want to talk about Remake, man. I just kind of want to reminisce on it, talk back on it. We never really did a review for Remake. This isn't necessarily a review. I don't really do like full-on reviews, at least I don't feel like when it comes to my channel. I kind of just put gameplay in the background that's not necessarily what we're talking about, and just kind of talk over it and just give my thoughts on games. And I guess I call that reviews for my channel. For starters, Remake wasn't exactly what we thought it was going to be. Now, early on, back in 2015, when the game was revealed, they were pretty straightforward with it. They let us know pretty early on that it was going to be multiple parts. We weren't getting the full Final Fantasy VII story in one game, which sucks in some ways, but it was also good that they were pretty transparent about that. And then we also knew that it wasn't going to be turn-based. And aside from some little tidbits here and there about the game, that's kind of all we knew from like 2015 all the way to like early 2019 before the State of Play reveal, and we really started ramping up information for the game. So it was pretty silent for a long, long time. We kind of speculated here and there about what it could be. I know Max, early days before we ever started getting real information for the game, he predicted, or maybe he had some inside knowledge, I don't know, that it was going to be Midgar only, which of course turned out to be true. And again, that's another piece of information that once we received it, I wasn't exactly ecstatic for, because even when it comes to like original FF7, the first disc of the game goes all the way up to the City of the Ancients, right? That's where the disc ends. And that's most of the goddamn planet. That's all the Midgar segment. And there's not a whole lot of locations after City of the Ancients. I wouldn't know the amount off the top of my head. But you have like Icicle Inn and all that other shit, right? In North Crater and stuff. It's not a whole lot. So I was expecting, the first game for Remake to get into the world a little bit. But obviously, once we got our hands on Remake, there's plenty there, right? It's like a 30-hour game roughly to beat. And then it can be a lot more than that if you're trying to 100% the game. It can be upwards of like 80 hours or so if you're trying to do everything. So there's plenty of content here, right? They definitely packed the Midgar segment full of stuff. And you get all the Midgar segment beats from the original FF7, but just a lot more other shit too. They give you a decent amount of brand new shit, but they also expand some sections that existed in the original FF7. Like the train graveyard, for example, which in the original Final Fantasy VII is nothing. It's just an area you pass through. There's no story. There's no boss fight. There's not even a piece of dialogue between characters. But when it comes to Remake, they gave it its own dedicated chapter. There is a story here, and you actually have like 2 different boss fights with Elgor and that giant ghost dude. Now, they didn't entirely knock it out of the park, right? Because there is a bit of backtracking in the story. We go back to, like, Don Corneo Sewers and fight Abzu again, which was just kind of boring. I always hate doing that part of the game. And also the side questing in general in the game. Like, the actual legitimate side quests, not just the side stuff you can do. The side quests aren't anything special, right? They're just kind of, for the most part, go kill the monster. That's the majority of them, usually. Like, for the most part, on a repeated playthrough, you could probably just skip most of, if not all of the side quests. And then on hard mode, you do got to play, I think, a lot of them for, like, the manuscripts. But for the most part, they're kind of meh. Now, the side content in terms of, like, the Corneo Coliseum and, like, the VR Simulator, absolutely love those and hope that something like that comes back in the future. And imagine once we get to the Gold Saucer in Part 2, because I'm assuming we're going to get there in Part 2, that the Battle Square would be something like the Corneo Coliseum, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And then also, if we want to just dip our toes a little bit into episode intermission, I think the Fort Condor minigame is pretty fun. And I don't know if that's going to be something that's specific to Midgar, because they talk about it being a new game in Midgar and stuff when you're playing the DLC. So that'd be kind of cool if you could go around the world and just in towns, there's just a handful of people that you could play Fort Condor against. But even then, the side content or minigames, whatever you want to call them, aren't exactly perfect either, because we have the squats and pull-ups minigame, which I finished the squat one a long, long time ago. I still have not done. I've not beaten Jules. He's still over here just beating my ass exactly 2 years later. I did try it quite a bit on the PS5, and I got pretty goddamn close. I actually tweeted out some time ago where I tied multiple times. Like, it's like 43, 43, 42, 42, and if you tie with Jules, you lose. So fuck me. It's honestly super infuriating, because I'm not somebody that really goes after, like, platinums, but I wanted to do it with Remake, and I still plan on getting this at some point. I kind of wanted to do it before the 2-year anniversary, but here we are, I haven't done it yet. And it's so frustrating because it's like, it's a bronze trophy. It's not even like it's not meant to be one of the harder trophies in the game. Like, there's no way they played this game and didn't think that this shit was hard, because it's almost unanimous that Jules is the super boss in the game. In terms of the story, again, it's the Midgar segment from Final Fantasy VII, but expanded with a bunch of new shit. But if we're talking about the overarching story, like the big background story, it's kind of hard to say because what our thoughts are on it. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm definitely very, very interested in what's going on, but we don't really know. Like, we don't have an answer, right? We can theorize and talk about it all day, which we've been doing for the past 2 years. But at the end of the day, no matter what the majority of the community thinks is going on with the story, we don't 100% know, and we could end up being wrong. And while I definitely did enjoy the story throughout part 1, you do have the plot ghost, which is like something that you're trying to figure out what the hell that is as you're playing through the game. And then the game takes a huge motherfucking 180 in Chapter 18, man. They throw that shit at you. It's hard to accept it. I've come to accept it as time's gone on now. But that first playthrough, man, I was like, what the hell is happening? And again, I've come to accept it as time's gone on. Like, I'm used to it now, whatever. I've played through Remake how many goddamn times at this point. But that first initial playthrough, bro, it takes a hard left when it goes into Chapter 18. And with so much space and time between, the games coming out, it's like, it's hard to sit there and, like, talk about it or think about it. It's like, what the hell is happening here? And then I gotta wait how many years for the next game? Like, I need some fucking answers. Like, give me a follow-up. That's kind of what I was hoping would happen with the episode intermission. I know it's a bottle kind of story about Yuffie to kind of get her story, backstory, and stuff like that. Get her ready to join up with the team in the next game. But I was hoping the episode intermission would kind of continue the discussion a bit. We do get some sort of answers with that, like, last cutscene where we do get to see Zack, and he is in Sector 5, so maybe he is in fact alive, whatever the case. We get some answers here and there, but I still need, like, more, even after all this time. And we do know that we should be getting information for Part 2 sometime within this year, which should hopefully mean maybe a 2023 release, so next year. So there is some upside to time being a son of a bitch, because it's already been 2 years, so the information should start happening relatively soon. Now, hopping back to Part 1, I actually really enjoyed the character progression system. You level up normally like you do in every other Final Fantasy, and similar to the original Final Fantasy VII, you get to equip only a weapon, an armor, and an accessory, and then obviously you have material slots based on your weapon and your armors. And then you get to progress your weapons in a pretty interesting way. It's something like, I don't know, like maybe the 13 Crystarium or maybe the 10 Sphere Grid. Those aren't the best examples. And while I definitely did like the addition of the weapon core system, which obviously the original FF7 didn't have, you just bought a weapon, you equipped it, you put material on it, you're good to go. I do like that. I do like that you can learn weapons abilities and be able to use any weapon you want. I wish that the weapon core system actually provided builds, as in you didn't get every ability, because once you max level your characters and you run through hard mode and get all the manuscripts, every weapon gets maxed. And I wish that there was maybe a set amount of points you could use within the weapon core, and you could only choose certain abilities. That way you could do builds instead of just every weapon having everything. A quick example of what I can mean here is maybe you have a set amount of points. I don't know, 10, 15, 20 points, but maybe there's 30 different things to choose from, so you can't have everything, and that could promote different character builds and different playthroughs and stuff. I think it'd be kind of fun. Technically, you could still do that. Nobody's making you spend SP points. You could only buy certain things if you wanted to, but you kind of get what I'm saying here. Look, of course, I ultimately love this game, man. I wouldn't be talking to you guys 2 years later if I didn't. I wouldn't even be bothering with a 2-year anniversary video if I didn't love the game. I wouldn't have been talking about it almost exclusively on this channel since 2019. Since I stopped doing Fallout and Bethesda content back in 2018, 2019. I've just been talking about this game. This is all I upload. This is all I fucking talk about. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't enjoy Remake. And you're allowed to overwhelmingly like the game if you do. If you like every single aspect from beginning to end when it comes to Remake Part 1 and also Episode Intermission, more power to you. But I have criticisms, man. I don't think it's a perfect game. I think there's certain things they could do better or improve upon when it comes to the next games, and that's what I hope, man. And the easiest thing to do would be to get on YouTube and talk about how much you love everything about it. That's the easiest thing to do. And so there's certain aspects of the game that I would like to see maybe change going forward, but at the same time, dude, they're not the biggest deal ever. It's if we get Part 2 and it's exactly Remake Part 1, maybe with some slight tweaks here and there, I'd be fine with that. Just a bigger world to explore and shit like that. That'd be good. It's the progression system, the weapon core system, the side quests are all kind of the same shit. It really wouldn't bother me ultimately, because I'm just here for the story really. It's not so much the gameplay. And maybe in a weird way, that's the biggest compliment that I can give Remake, is that I'm so invested in this story, whatever's happening. I'm so invested in these characters and the future and whatever happens that it almost doesn't really matter what the game is, for the most part, the gameplay aspects of it and what you do throughout most of the game in terms of what you're doing to your characters. I don't really care. I'm here for the fucking story, dude. I want to know what the hell's going on. I can't wait to see the future. I said it earlier in the video. I say it all the time on the channel. Man, I've been here since 2015, and we're here till the end. It does not matter. It doesn't matter how many games there's going to be. Is there going to be 2 games? 3 games? 7 games, maybe, for the lulz? Is there going to be 10 games? Are they going to milk it till the end of time? It doesn't matter. We're here till the end of the remake story. Look, my dudes, the last couple of years have been fantastic talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's an outlet that I needed for a lot of years because I don't really have a whole lot of people around me that also play video games, at least to the degree that I do, but also aren't necessarily fans of Final Fantasy VII. So having a YouTube channel, having a community to talk to, this game that I've been playing for most of my life, it's been great, my dudes. And a lot of you come to every single video that I upload, and you don't know how good of a feeling that is as a content creator, to have like a consistent audience. No matter what you put out, people are watching it, they're commenting on it. That shit feels good, my dudes, and I couldn't be more appreciative. 2 years down, and hopefully many more to go, my dudes. That's going to be the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys aren't want to see more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on all my notifications, follow me on Twitter, @YT, and my Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.